Hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is
Morning.
doing well. We should be having a great day. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Elite Trader Funding. Appreciate you joining in. How are you guys doing today? Elite Trader Funding, how are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just kind of just a lot of things to digest from yesterday, but overall, just trying to see what the market's got going on after, FOMC and then also ECB and then all the Western Alliance bank stuff too. So, but overall, it's been pretty busy, but overall, pretty happy. How about you? How about you?
Yeah, I am doing great. I'm the news guy, so anytime we get a bunch of craziness going on, it tends to be pretty good for me. I have a good time. I keep myself busy. It goes by pretty quickly. We have Apple earnings today after the close, and then we get a nice break going forward. But yeah, I know we have a really great space plan for today. We have a lot of really, really smart woman traders coming on here and sharing their expertise, maybe even giving some live trades. But we have some really good questions to ask. So I know this will be a really great space. Andrew, if there's any way you can get some of those tweets that we normally have pinned up in the nest above up there, that would be fantastic. And yeah, maybe we kind of start this out by cycling it around and just introducing everybody and getting started. But Elite Trader Funding, does that sound good as we kind of get going in here?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great plan. I like that. So let's go ahead
Perfect.
and get started.
Perfect. We'll do that, and we'll talk a little bit more about the great stuff ETF is doing as well. But I'm just going to cycle it around as I see you guys up here. So I'll throw it over to Julia first. Would love to introduce yourself a little bit and hear maybe some of the stuff you're watching in the market as we get close to the open today.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me on, first of all. I appreciate it. So, I'm mostly a futures trader. I do trade individual equities, but I don't usually share charts for them. So, I'm watching today. We've had some weakness yesterday, and I'm watching today to see whether or not we can stay above the weekly 9MA for ES or SPX futures. That would be a slightly higher low from last week. So that's pretty critical, I think, in terms of keeping up the momentum and not falling much further. So I hope I didn't jump right into something I shouldn't be talking about yet, but that's what I'm watching for today.
No, perfect. You are totally great. And I would also love to hear a little bit more about your background, how we kind of got to this point. Some of your just experience, how long you've been doing this, just really quickly.
Sure. I'm a mechanical engineer by degree, but I worked in several software companies doing sales, and I was lucky that they did very well. So I ended up looking for a way to work for myself and still, generate income and not have to travel. So I started trading my own money in my 401k and my other investment accounts. And then I really didn't know what I was doing too much. I invested in companies that I liked. I liked Netflix. I liked Apple, and got really lucky that way. But once I started trading actively, I realized it wasn't as easy as it looked. So I started charting, and so I created charts for myself that I could use to trade in and out of positions, and then just as almost as a fluke, I started posting them on Twitter, and so and people found them useful for themselves as well. And so that's pretty much how I got into trading, and yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate that, and I'm excited to loop back around and ask some really great questions.
Okay.
Thank you for joining in on the spaces. I'm going to throw it over to Anne Marie next. Would love to ask the same question over to you. Just quick into your background and maybe how you're feeling about the market as we head into the open.
Thanks for having me. My name again is Anne Marie Band, and I started trading in the markets about 2 decades ago after I'd spent a ton of time getting lots of math degrees and ending up being a neuroscience researcher, but not really making any money at it. And so I opened up a recruiting company that placed people that were scientists like myself. And then after a while, I said, you know what, I really want to get back to my love. And that really brought me to the math. in the markets. And so that's really where it came from. My joy every day really does come from coming in and figuring out the problems, because the market might be straightforward in certain ways, but it can get really complex if our minds get in the way. And so I love the blend of the psychology of the market, how the mind works when it's associated with money, and how traders move when their emotions kick in high gear. And so I feel like I've finally gotten to this place that I was just made to be. I love trading, and I just love interacting with the markets every day. I hope I can do it until I'm 100. And today I'm watching something's going on, right? We had the massive push up in gold overnight with the cryptos, and that's pulling back a little bit. We had a big savage dip in oil, and that's lifting a little bit. And the key thing for me, just like Julia, I'm watching for the behavior to change, because every big dip has seen pervasive bids coming into the market every single time. And even as we dribble off today, we've got organized selling. There's no real fear sitting in here. And so it's all about watching those supports, watching them hold, and then taking those positions where my risk is least.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. A lot of great points for us to come back to and touch on. I appreciate it. Should be a very interesting day in the market. Nonetheless, we had the FOMC yesterday, heading into Apple earnings today. I'm excited for it. All right, I really appreciate it. I'm going to keep us cycling on these intros and throw it over to Curly Gal Investor.
Good morning, all. Good morning. Thank you so much for the invite, having me over here. How are you all?
Doing great.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am. I started trading in the market back in 2020. So I came into the market with the pandemic, and just seeing I had seen the opportunities that the market was offering at the time, and I just started with investing and building up a portfolio. And I did that through 2021. I then transitioned into trading options, and just learning more about the market, about day trading particularly. And it was something that just fascinated me. It fascinated me, the opportunity to, be able to do this on the side. Back then, I'm a social worker by trade. So at the time, we had been sent home to work virtually, and I just was obsessed with, working by day and just studying and researching about the stock market and companies and investing and all this stuff after hours. And I have not stopped since. So I currently, for a couple of years, I've had the opportunity to work with a small group of traders. Are extremely supportive to each other, and a room and a mentor, and just have a lot of gratitude for the opportunity to just being able to do this aside from what I do for a living. So just excited about continued growth, and just going through the process of what it means to trade, to be a trader, and learning much more about myself in doing so. So yes, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. We're happy to have you. Before I throw it over to Kim very quickly, Elite Trader Funding, feel free to change the title, pin any tweets up in the nest above, anything like that. I'm going to come back to you in half a second. But I want to keep going with the intros and bring Kim into it. Would love to hear kind of what you're watching in the market today, and then also just a little bit about your background and how we got to this point.
Good morning. It's so wonderful to be up here with all these amazing women traders and a couple like Julie and Anne, who I've admired from afar. Um, just love watching you two. And Curly, she's a social worker and I'm a mental health therapist. So I've really been able to connect with her. It's wonderful having other people in the social services and healthcare field that also love trading, because there's, a lot of like psychology and trading that goes together and that can overlap. I really became passionate about the markets, honestly, from a really young age. Um, I started, when we had newspapers back in the day, I would always look up the ticker symbols in the newspaper. Every single day, I would track stocks. I was always fascinated with the market. But where I lived in Seattle at the time, there wasn't internet trading and we weren't close to a stock market floor. And so, never was able, I started like investing at that time, and I would take $100 or $200 out of my paychecks and invest them. In that time, it was mutual funds. I think it was like Oakmark and Vanguard at the time. They had like these different funds, money market funds, not money market, but I can't remember what you call them, but they weren't ETFs back then. And, would just invest my paychecks and, would read Money Magazine every, month that it came to my house. So I just always really had a passion, but I didn't have the opportunity at that time to trade my own account. And it was really about 2017. We'd had like a pullback in the market, maybe around 2018. And at that time, I, talked with my stockbroker and, was giving him some direction. And he started really encouraging me, saying, you've got a lot of knowledge. You could really do this on your own. And so that kind of like really encouraged me. There's not a lot of women in there at the time. There wasn't a lot of women in the field. And so there were only really men around me that were in that field. And it was hard to break through, unless you were doing internet trading at that time. So, but that's how I got involved in it. I just, finally got on and started learning online trading platform that where one of my accounts was at. And slowly he just, worked with me. He didn't know options. So it was just really investing, rebalancing, when one of my stocks would go way up, selling part of it, putting in, another one, using ETFs too. And I started getting into options trading about probably a year after that, started learning that on my own, and then really switched. I haven't fully switched, but then switched over where I more traded futures. So that's kind of my trajectory. So really what I'm looking at right now is, we've kind of possibly peaked in the market. You never know for the time being, because we have some, Powell was yesterday, and the debt ceiling and, some things coming down the pike that might kind of keep us range bound. So what I'm really looking at is, the NQ. I look at balancing or hedging my portfolio overall, using options, selling options against my stock, using the futures to get short against my stock. So I look at it, for me, more holistically. I do like to day trade if a trade goes my way or we have extreme moves, but more I use futures and options to swing trade and to balance my portfolio.
Awesome, and the timing with that is perfect. The market did just open up. If anyone up here is taking any live trades, definitely feel free to call those out as we're going. Put your hand up, and we'll come right over to you as we're doing that. But I want to bring ETF into it quickly before I cycle around and start asking you some questions here and talk about some of the great stuff you guys are doing. Would love to hear more. First of all, a little bit about if you're watching the market at all today, anything you were watching, and then a little bit more about Elite Trader Funding and some of the stuff you guys are doing. I see we have that tweet pinned up in the nest above. People should go in and check that out. But yeah, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm just watching right now. This has been an interesting reaction from yesterday, so kind of want to see. Most of the time it'd just be focused on Powell and what he said yesterday, right? So, but then we had right after the close, there news about Western Alliance exploring strategic alternatives, and that kind of put a damper on the market. But then it recovered, and now we got the ECB raising their rate only 25 bips, and so it's been, I don't know, it's been the market. I don't know what it's doing. It's just been kind of choppy right now, but I guess we'll see if they actually have any intention of actually doing anything today. It just kind of seems, I don't know, I'd say almost oddly quiet at this rate for what an opening candle looks like. This is not what I would expect. But that being said, it's the market, and maybe they'll get some direction later on that will probably trend into Friday. But that's something that remains to be seen. As for us at Elite Trader Funding, we offer evaluations for people who are looking to get into trading instead of risking their own money with their own accounts and blowing up. I can tell you that it's a much better way to, you keep some skin in the game. You buy an eval, and then if you pass it based on our parameters and everything, it's just about finding if you can cut as a trader, right? It's about the risk management and everything. If you can pass these evals, you can go onto a funded account where you can actually make your own money, where we allow you to actually make money off those funded accounts. And so that's one of the ways that you can get into trading without taking a huge risk in your personal account and finding out what a margin call is. So if you guys are interested, please check us out. We are always online and have people standing by. So our customer service is top notch in the industry. So they will happy to answer your questions. But as for that, I'll turn it back to you and for the rest of the market stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, the tweet or link for that is pinned up in the nest above. We've had multiple people on our spaces come in and go through the eval in a couple weeks. I believe it was 2 or 3. And they're trading with funded accounts, not their own money. So very, very cool. Yeah, I have a couple questions here I want to go around and ask. So I'm just going to kind of cycle around it. And if anyone does want to jump on a question and I don't necessarily ask it to you, feel free to throw your hand up, and I'll make sure to come up right over to you if you want to add on to anything or anything like that. These conversations are really great when they're free-flowing. We brought on a lot of really, really smart people, and when smart people talk to smart people, we tend to get some really, really great conversations. So first question, Julia, I would love to throw it over to you. We kind of did talk about this a little bit, but not directly. I would love to know what kind of inspired you to become a trader, and I know it's not an easy journey doing it all the time. I would love to know kind of if there's any days where you came close to quitting or any stories like that, and how you kind of persevered through that.
Sure. Well, I am a very independent person. Even when I used to work in the corporate world, I liked working for smaller companies better than bigger companies, because in smaller companies, there's a lot more flexibility. There's a lot more, I feel like I could have a bigger impact in them. And I really wanted to work for myself. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to have the flexibility that something like trading can give you. But it's super hard if you're not disciplined, and it's the kind of profession that you really have to prove to yourself you can do it over and over again, and then just have confidence through, everybody has losing days, everybody has losing weeks, and it's okay to do that, but you have to have the resilience and the confidence in order to just have proven yourself and maintain that same drive to continue to make money throughout all of that. So there's been tons of times where I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. But the reality is, if you have rules in place that can stop you from, sort of losing too much on the days where you're just not in the zone, then I think that's very helpful.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. I really do appreciate that. Let's throw it over to Kim. I would love to kind of ask you the question of what inspired you to become a trader. What got you started?
I mean, I don't really know what inspired me. I just always loved, I don't know, from the time I was a little girl, I didn't really have family that invested. I just always, I was really good at math. I loved numbers. And so I don't know if that was part of it. Like, I always loved statistics. And so, I love research of psychology. I love pulling up like peer reviewed research articles. I'm kind of a nerd in that way. And so, and reading the stats. And so I don't know if that was part of it. But I just was intrigued by the stock market, right? And then I think, when I started investing when I was younger and you see like, your money compounding, and that your $100 a month or whatever it, was starts adding up, right? Um, it, it just kind of, it got me excited. It feels like you can have financial independence on your own. And so I think that really intrigued me. And then obviously as we got to 2018, when I started, when I started doing it independently, um, and let me just clarify, I do, I have a portfolio that I manage, but then I also, I still have like my 401ks and those things, and I don't touch those. I just every year up as much money as I can. I just keep upping it from my paychecks. Um, and I enjoy my job, so I don't, want to quit. So I trade part time. But I just always put more in, and then I leave that pretty much alone. I'll rebalance that sometimes when we have big market moves, but I don't really touch that. But in the actual other account that I manage, um, just really what got me excited is seeing that you can build wealth over time and that it's empowering to be able to do it on your own and not have to call up a broker or somebody else to do it for you. So there was just something really empowering in that. And I just love watching the markets. Like I'm literally obsessed with them. So, I'm not the best chartist. I know how to read a chart. I admire you ladies that do that, and I probably could take the time to get to how to do all my charting. And I love reading other people's charting. But I love researching stocks. I love researching how the market moves. I love learning about the macro and how that impacts the market. So I think because I love research and I love building my own wealth and having my own control, like Julie said, I mean, I'm very independent. I don't always like to be told what to do. So there's that power in that too. And I love, now that there's so many women in trading now, I love it's a way to connect with other women. I relate to women that love the market. I do have 4 kids. I'm a mom and I love being a mom, but at the same time, I love the markets and it was hard for me to find women that also like that. So that's one reason why I love being on Twitter is connecting with women that are passionate about it.
How important is it to you, Kim, to kind of be able to have a community you can connect with? A lot of people, this has changed over the last couple of years. A lot of people like to crap on social media, but I think one of the best parts of it is the ability to have that community when you're getting started. So, how has that been for you? And how have you been able to find women on FinTwit that you maybe kind of wouldn't have been able to find other places? Obviously, a very male-dominated industry, and there's definitely a lot of a strong community of female traders on Twitter. It's still not nearly as large as the men, but yeah, I would love to know kind of how social media has helped you in finding that community, and if there's anything with that.
Yeah, I will tell you, it 1,000% was a game changer for me because before, I think some of my husband was a floor trader. We've talked about that before, that when I've been on spaces before. So, I had him, I had other guys around me, but I literally felt so isolated. I was like, I think differently about it. It's not that, it's more that, I like to take risk, but I'm a little more conservative, right? And so, and I have kids and, I have different things that I'm looking at, right? And so how I got into the Twitter community is, Tasty Trade is a brokerage firm, and there were these 2 gals, Liz and Jenny, who do this daily option show. And I don't remember how I stumbled across it, but I stumbled across it and I started watching Liz and Jenny, and that literally spoke to me. It was like they were talking about their kids and trading, or about, you know, it literally like fed my soul. It was like, you're a smart woman, you're a mom, you know, are doing whatever you're doing that women do. You know, you love you love getting dressed up. Not that every woman needs to, but it literally fed my soul. And so that's why I got on Twitter, because they read every single tweet that is tweeted to them. They read it on the show, and then they'll put on the trades or answer the questions. And so that was my first tweet that I ever made, was, Liz and Jenny, I joined Twitter because of you. I'm so excited to be a part of this community. And so that's how I met, the first women, and also amazing men too. Like, I've met obviously both. And from there, that just started building this amazing women trading community for me. And literally, it was a game changer, because I felt like I had people that were like me, that had the same values or similar values, right? Similar priorities in life, and also could be badass women and, sit at a computer all day, which I do like to do. Sit at a computer all day, look at a screen, and trade. So, yeah, it's been a game changer for me. And there's so many amazing women, and these women up here. I mean, Julie, I've watched your YouTube videos, and, followed you and things that you post on Twitter, and, seen women struggle with trading too. I think oftentimes, I don't want to make a gender statement here, but, women might be more transparent and not bragging as much about their gains, right? And be more realistic about the market. So, I've seen all these women up here really be authentic on Twitter, and, this was a bad day for me. And so that just really spoke to my heart. And for me, Twitter has been an amazing avenue to connect with people, get better at trading, and also to just feel like I'm a part of a trading community.
Yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Really do appreciate those answers there. I would love to bring Curly Gal Investor into this. I don't know if you have any thoughts on anything we've talked about yet with community or getting started investing, but I would also love to ask you, what are some of your favorite things that you enjoy the most about trading? Maybe some of the lifestyle stuff, maybe some of the specifics of day to day, and whatever in that, but would love to know kind of some of your favorite parts of the job about trading.
Sure thing. Seconding a little bit what Kim was saying, I don't know if it's also has to do with the nature of my job as a social worker, what I've done for so many years. I am used to working teams. I work in small teams, interdisciplinary teams, and I love the idea of being able to work together with a group of people who are all bringing something different to the table, right? So how do I translate that into trading? I think that, since the beginning, I never felt like as if I was trading alone, or that I was isolated in trading. Because fortunately for me, I had my siblings with whom I started the stock market investing and trading journey. That they were in it with me, and it was just a very a special thing to be able to share with them, right? And then down the line, when I joined Twitter with a very specific purpose, was to be able to connect first with like-minded people, be able to share and document my journey through it. And I was very fortunate to find really good people. It was through Twitter that I found my mentor and my trading room, and it was very special because it was a very cozy and fairly small group of talented people, and kind of like it ended up feeling like like a extended family, right? It's like a small family. I trade with Breakout Place One on Twitter, and the growth that one can get with just having people together and being able to see different opinions or analyzing the market and being able to support each other through all this, because at the end of the day, it's not all roses and peaches, right? There's definitely challenging times, and being able to have a supportive community that can be there and guide you through that, and support you through that, I think is important. And I think that, um, we grow in community, we heal in community, and that has been something that I've been able to experience through being part of a group, through this trading journey. I think that has been extremely helpful. It's made the difficult times much more easier, and it just overall have um, contributed to my growth. I think I definitely thrive in nurturing environments. So being able to find that out there, in authentic people, and the same go with females. I've been able to be part of groups of chat groups with female traders, where we are just like sharing not just about trading, but anything outside of trading that can impact our trading life. And I think that that's just a great way to do this, and to make it not feel like a lonely task to have, right?
Yeah, I very much do agree. A lot of people like to kind of hate on everyone with a Discord or whatever, and maybe some of them aren't the best, but definitely entering this game with community, with a mentor, and finding the right person to actually teach you instead of just showing you, I made this money on this trade or whatever, but teaching you and helping you get started can definitely
Exactly.
accelerate your career a lot at the start.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, it can shortcut a lot, because this is a thing. I think this is something that you have to think about it long term. I realized that fairly quickly. I remember when I first started, the idea of being able to have the idea of being able to do this for a living was really appealing to me, because I'm originally from Puerto Rico. My family is in Puerto Rico, and I live in the States. I've worked in the States for 15 years, and I constantly travel to see my family and spend time, quality time and whatnot. And one of the things that I aim for, that I work for, is being able to just be back home. I come from a lovely place, and till this day, it's like, oh my goodness, every time I go visit, it's like, how did I leave? How did I left this, right? But life happens, and I think it's very empowering, like Kim had mentioned earlier, the fact that I can have the possibility of learning skills that can potentially provide me with either a side income or a full-time income eventually, and that can give me the geographical freedom that I want to be with the people that I want to be for longer periods of time. I think that was extremely important to me, and that's one of the reasons that motivated me to continue through this journey. And also the fact that I seem so passionate about it. Like, have not, since I found the stock market, there has not been a day that I am not watching it, or that I'm not learning from it, that I'm not studying it. So I found something that I was as passionate as I was with my regular job, right? Um,
Can I
but
ask
that's
you actually something on top of that?
sure, sure.
I would love to know how you kind of deal with the bad days in there. Every day isn't perfect, and
Mhm.
I love how enthusiastic and passionate you are. It's really great to hear you doing it. But I would love to how you kind of know how you kind of get through those days where you're not feeling like that, and you maybe saying you want to quit is a strong word, but you saying you don't want to go full force, 100% at it. What's
Mhm.
your strategy for those days?
I think, again, being surrounded with a supportive community. I I think I'm so thankful for my mentor and other people who have I come across with that I've been able to have there as support. There are times where, I'm able to just get on text messaging or a call or voice audios and just say this is I'm not feeling good. And I'm right. And, I'm just having a hard time and being able to process that verbally, be able to talk about it and just acknowledge it, right? Not act like, it's all nice and dandy, but just acknowledge the fact that this is challenging and what things I can put in place in order to make it easier for myself, right? And a lot of times that might be, you know, um, reducing my size, just putting different strategy, have using stop losses or whatnot. I remember at the beginning, I was a huge risk taker, so I will make very high amounts of money, but then if I was wrong, I will also lose very high amounts of money. So being able to have somebody that can look at what you're doing from the outside and being able to point it out to you and help you through aiding your weaknesses, um, I think that has been extremely, extremely important for me to be able to go through those days that are not that nice. Lately, actually, I've been also, I've started trading futures through 2023, and I've been, I was on demo and practicing and learning about this. And then later, I started trying prop evaluations account, and it's been very interesting, but I it's just a continue. I see it as a continuous way of learning about myself. I think that having self awareness and knowing that this is a process. So I'm not doing this for the end goal. I'm actually aware that I'm going through a process. I'm embracing the process. And I like the process. I'm a process person. So I'm okay with whatever the outcome, however many times I have to do something until it clicks, right? And just being able to share that with a group of others that are going to be there to be uplifting and that we can learn from each other. So I focus on the process, and that also helps me with just kind of like staying present with my day and day to day versus feeling discouraged all the time because I'm just wanting to get to an end goal.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And I want to bring Anne Marie into this. Very much appreciate you joining in. I would love to know if there's any thoughts on any of the questions that we've had so far. What inspired you to become a trader? What are some of your favorite things about it? Maybe some of the ways you kind of get through some of the bad days. Would love to hear any of your thoughts on any of those.
All right, terrific. I've had a lot of bad trading days because I thought I was always the smartest person in the room. And so the market had a lot of lessons it was going to teach me. And instead of teaching me with, a nice guide, a little shove along, it would throw me off the side of a building to remind me that it was in charge and I was not. So, one of the first things as a trader I really had to deal with was knowing that risk has to be managed before anything else. And so when we are in the trading space and someone says, "Hey, how do you deal with a bad day?" You know, the thing about dealing with a bad day is that you have to know that they come, and you have to make sure that you put some rails around your edges so that your bad day is just bumping into a guardrail versus, careening off the Golden Gate Bridge. So for me, I would say that in terms of working through the process, I'm an individual that likes being alone. I feel like I'm almost so quirky that the market is a perfect place for me, except that the things that I needed to learn were how to manage risk and how to be comfortable with being wrong. And that really is a flipping of the script. And one of the things that a place like Elite Trading does, who's just superb to sponsor this, is really get you to a space where you go, listen, you're going to lose it. Sometimes every day you're going to lose something. But just make sure that what you lose doesn't put you on the floor with a bottle of whiskey or whatever else that you tend to do to medicate yourself, but instead says, hey, listen, this is something that you need to work on and you have to focus. A lot of traders that love being independent, and a lot of us do, we love being independent. A lot of traders are really mavericks. We have a maverick mentality. We want to go against the grain of what everybody else is doing because it's our nature. And that's great unless we're trying to do that with price. And that makes it terrible because you have to run with the ones who are winning or you're going to be losing. And it's as simple as that. So that's really, in terms of how I deal and how I dealt with those things, I literally believe that I was the worst trader in existence when I started 2 decades ago. I've made every single mistake except all in on margin, literally. And I lost millions of dollars. And so the reason I love being in the Twitter sphere and talking to traders who really want to learn and be better is to go, hey, listen, losing is a part of the game. You just have to pump the brakes and say, I don't know what I'm doing. And a lot of times we don't know how to do that on our own. That's why these programs that allow us to get into the space of trading where we're not actually using our own funds, but we're in a system that says, all right, you need to manage your trailing drawdown. You need to do this. You need to do that. And there are a lot of really great companies that do that. It's really focusing you on how to develop process and how to manage risk. And really, if you're looking for an anchor of how can I be successful, those are going to be the two things you're going to have to work on.
I would love to ask a question about, a lot of people can lose money. Everyone can lose money, actually, very easily. Not everyone can necessarily lose money and then learn the lesson from it and get better in the future. And that's really what this training game is. So I would love to know, you were talking there that you've lost money plenty of times, and clearly you are here, you have the experience. So I would love to know kind of your strategies for making sure you learn the lessons from it, and also making sure you learn the right lesson. A lot of times you lose money, you think it's one thing, but it's maybe something else actually. So I would love to know kind of your strategy for making sure you learn that lesson and improve your trading and actually gain from those losses.
That's a fantastic question. So the first thing I would say is you've got to be incredibly deliberate about how you trade. For you to click the mouse, you have to have a premise that says, why should I take this trade? Do I have an edge entering at this time, at this price? And does my edge outweigh the likelihood of my risk drawdown if everything went in the proper direction? So to be purposeful in your ability to execute is the number one thing. If you are not purposeful, you won't know what lessons are coming on the back end. Because the market does, every time you engage with the market, it teaches you a lesson. It teaches you a lesson to either follow bad behavior because you're not organized, follow good behavior because you're not organized, or simply not do anything because you're not organized. And so the question is, what are you doing to be purposeful about getting into a trade? And that means you've got to develop a strategy. You've got to sit with a space and go, okay, I believe that based on these two observations, my next observation should be X. And if that is the case, if my next observation is X and I get in here, I know my risk is down here, and let's see the trade as it moves forward. When the trade is complete, whether you win or you lose, there's a lesson. And if you don't take the purposeful approach of having every trade as an exam, opening up the blue book, for those of us who went to college when we used those blue books, open up the blue book and go, okay, what was the purpose of this engagement? What did I learn? And what didn't I learn? But see, most of us sit in the trading space in complete reflexivity. Oh, that went bad. I need to turn around and go in the other direction. Oh no, that's doing bad. I need to reverse my trade. And there's no thought process that really flows to the space. So in order for the market to teach you, you have to put yourself in the space where you are waiting to be taught. And most of us don't really realize that. And so that, I would say, is the crux of what we have to do as traders to accomplish winning spaces. And really, sometimes we can't do it for ourselves. I've told this story a million times. My husband he actually had to say to me after I'd been losing everything, he said, "Hey, I don't think you know what you're doing. So just stop and try to figure it out before you lose any more of our money." And listen, for somebody like me that thought that I was the cheese because my brain was so big, that was hard for me to swallow. But it's absolute fact. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about anything that you've had in your prior life. It's, can you hold yourself accountable? Can you manage risk? And can you stick to a process? And you know, most of us, the number one thing we struggle with is being continually the same over and over every day. We are so bad at being regimented about what we do. We just do not have that ability naturally. It's got to get built.
A lot of what you said in there was really fantastic. I love it, really appreciate it. One of the points that I definitely gravitated to, the smartest people tend to be pretty bad traders because it's forever a game and it's
100%.
teaching you have to react. They think they know too much. And that's a big part of it. It's the most disciplined people who tend to kind of come out on top. So it's definitely not an IQ game at all. Definitely appreciate all the comments. I want to first say, make sure you're following all of the amazing speakers up here. We've been going for about 40 minutes at this point, and we've heard from everyone. Really smart people will definitely improve your Twitter timeline and experience. And we really do appreciate the co-host of the space, Elite Trader Funding, for bringing everyone together. I would love to bring you back into it, ETF, and hear some of your thoughts on the conversation we've had so far. And then one other thing I wanted to touch on a little bit. I know we've talked a lot in the past about ETF and some of the educational aspects that you guys have been going as well. I would love to hear kind of the importance of that. A lot of traders who are really great at this already can go on to ETF, pass through that eval in 2 weeks, absolutely no problem, and you're trading with someone else's money. But maybe some of those people who want to learn a little bit more and at the start can grow with ETF as well. I would love to hear kind of how that aspects work with it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is kind of part of how we're trying to reach out to the community, get more seasoned traders and people who are in their little niche fields, and to really offer a little insight that trading is a lonely game, and trading is one of my good buddies says trading is just hard. Like it's not easy. If it were easy, we'd all be rich, right? But at the same time, it's trading's at least future trading is a zero sum game. If someone's gonna win, someone's gonna lose. That's just how it is. And it's why make it harder than it needs to be? So we try to save people from making the same mistakes. Like personally, I've made mistakes. I learned what margin call was. Like I said that before, it's not a pleasant thing, especially when you got no money and you're like 20 years old. But you learn from it, you move on, and you learn whether you learn what the market is trying to teach you it's one of those things that you can either be stubborn about it, or you can actually move on and learn and make some money off from it. And it's a challenge that we all struggle with, because what you do, you realize that you're trading against is not really just everyone else, it's also trading against yourself, right? Because you are the person that you're trading against is the person in the mirror, and all those emotions and all those feelings and all that, those mistakes, they're all yours. There's no one else you can say, oh, it's so and so's fault. No, it's yours. You got to own it, right? So it's what we want to see. What we're trying to do is let people know that they're not alone in all this, and we do charge money for these eval accounts, but at the same time, it's still much better than learning how hard it is to trade by going into debt because you made a bad trade and didn't know how to manage the risk. That's what we're kind of hoping to find traders as they grow, they learn, they manage their risk better. We want to help them grow and also take partnership with them and really just learn how they trade and see what they do, because that's what we're trying to do, is find disciplined traders to partner with. That being said, with all the educational stuff, like we had the Sound Trading Psychology with Sean, and Kim was there talking with him as well. And so it's one of those things that I think gets overlooked is psychology, right? Like you can do all the charts and all the technicals and look at Dom all day long, but you can't manage your emotions. You can't figure out what's going on. The same mistakes will just repeat themselves. So we're trying to expand the educational offering. We're trying to expand it, and we're trying to open it up. We have a Discord community, and it's one of those things where you get traders to understand what's going on, look at different ways of how they trade, as well as get insights into how they manage risk. It's all there. So I think community is important, and I think that's one of the things that we're trying to build and really let people learn from each other and be successful. Hope that helps.
100% does. I want to ask one more question to you really quickly, but just letting everyone else know, I'm coming around with the next question. I would love to ask everybody, what's one thing that you guys wish you knew when you got started? That one lesson that you've maybe learned in the last year, last week, whatever it was that you wish you knew when you got started investing. I want to give you guys an extra second to think about that. But ETF, would love to know. I pinned the tweet up in the nest above. You guys are doing a little bit of a discount right now, right?
Yeah, the discount's built in. I think right now with the link above, it's a 30% built in, 30% off built in, off our evals. And right now we're, aside from the one that's built in there, we're running a promo about getting resets that are half off. And it's one of the things that, because trading can be hard, especially during these volatile times. It's people, we don't want you to blow all your accounts and reset all the time, but I know people are going to, and at least we can at least give them a little assistance, give it another shot, and like, look, at the same time, don't just continue to reset and expecting to gamble on. That's just one of those things that you're going to realize that gambling in this market, yeah, it's really fun when you make a lot of money, but it hurts a lot worse when you lose it, because you can be right, you can be wrong. This question is, when can you get out? Can you get out with it all, or can you get out before you lose it all? So as far as things I wish I had learned, I think that's just one of the things that I don't know really how to answer that one. I just really, one of the things I've really started to appreciate is looking at how people, that futures trading is leveraged trading, so that there is a lot more money to be made and money to be lost when you on a simple thing like a little tick, like for ES, it's $12.50 per tick, right? So, and it's one of those, boy, that sounds great. If I can just get those over and over again, right, that'd be great. But at the same time, it's not easy to make $12.50 just putting up $500 in day trading margin, right? So it is a risk management game, and then I really wish I had learned that a little bit better when I started out. But it's something the market really rewards if you can manage your risk well.
100% do agree. I'm gonna cycle us around with that question. If you guys want to throw any wrap ups in there as well, we got about 5-10 minutes. So would love to know one thing that you guys wish that you knew when you got started, and then anything else you want to leave people with as well. So Julia, I would love to throw it over to you first.
Sure. I wish I had known that just because something is cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal. Might be cheap for a reason and might stay cheap for a long time. I know one of my biggest mistakes when I started was finding something that I thought was a real bargain, and then it kept getting more bargainy and more bargainy. So I kept adding to it and adding to it. And the second that anyone thinks this can't go lower, it's going to go lower 1000%. Like you could trade just based off of your gut feeling that something can't go lower or higher because it certainly can the second that you feel that it can't. So I wish I had known that starting out, because I generally like to trust my instincts, but they weren't really good when it came to things like that, especially in the beginning. So that's just that. I wish I had known that from the start.
Yeah, that's a really, really great point. Everyone wants to think they have that edge on the market, but there are edges, but it tends not to be that simple and straightforward and everything like that.
Right.
The
It's not
market
the
it's
obvious
priced there for a
ones.
reason. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. I really appreciate that. I want to echo one more time. We really appreciate Julia joining in and all of our other fantastic speakers. Make sure you're checking all of them out and giving them a follow in these next couple minutes here. But I'm going to keep us cycling around and throw it over to Anne Marie with the same question.
You know, I did the same thing that Julia's talking about, thinking that cheap things are going to be good. No, it's on sale. It's on sale because it's broken. um, so yeah, you know, the big thing I wish I'd learned is to manage risk. I mean, it took me a long time to make the money back that I lost, and I lost it because I did not understand risk management. And you know, that's the great thing about trading is anybody can trade. Anybody can learn how to trade. The bad thing about trading is anybody can trade because there are no barriers to entry. You know, there's no schooling that you have to have. There's no, hey, you got to take this class to do XYZ. And so if everyone focused on risk management and not pulling the slot machine handle, I really thought, and I was very organized and very controlled as a person, except for the fact that I have a very fiery temper. It goes away in 12 seconds, but I do have a big temper. But I really had to learn how to manage risk. And if I had done that in the very beginning, it was really a 7-year climb for me to actually come back to break even. And I can't even imagine where I'd be if I had learned that risk management is number one in the very beginning. So that's what I would say.
Love it. 100% do agree with that. We've gotten two really great answers right here at the start. I'm glad I asked this one. It's all part of ETF bringing really smart people onto these spaces. So shout out to that. I want to keep us moving and throw it over to Kim.
I wish I would have actually known about futures sooner, and I wish I would have known about the micros. First, I want to say thank you to Elite Funding for showcasing different traders and women. It's been a real pleasure to be on your guys' spaces. So thank you so much, and for all you guys are doing and teaching people and just connecting. You reached out to me, and I just really appreciate it. But you don't have to trade big, right? Trade small. That's the thing. Learn what you're doing first. And I love the micro futures. I know people, trade NQ, and my husband loves to trade NQ, the, minis. But for me, I like to sleep at night. And I do hold trades overnight, right? And I do like watching the market 24 hours, but I don't want to feel like I have to be watching it overnight all the time, right? I want to watch it if I choose to, not because, oh my gosh, I've got too much leverage on, and I got to make sure that and I've been there. I've had mini NQs on, held them for a week or 2 weeks, and been in a panic, right? That is just not my style. And I found the micro futures, and it's knowing what Anne Marie said and Julia said, is knowing the risk you're taking. I've talked about it on these spaces before. A micro future 1NQ equals 80 shares of Q. I like to translate it. I'm shorting 80 shares of Q, or I'm going long 80 shares of Q. Or for MES, it's 50 shares. And if you're taking a big one on a mini, it's 10 times that. So that's a lot of leverage if you're, going to hold overnight. And I do hold overnight a lot. Like right now, my MESs are coming in the money, and I was kind of adding those on the way up. So I like also the micros because I can scale in. And it's just easier for me to scale in and balance kind of the bigger picture for me because I do hold stocks long, right? So um, if I'm underwater on the micros, I'm making money on my stocks or on some of the options I have on as the market's going up. So long and short of it, know the leverage you're taking. That's why I like to quantify it and say, this is an M and Q equals this. So I understand what that looks like. And most importantly, I've talked about it before, is delay your gratification. You're not going to get rich quick. You might hit a big one. The first time I played the mini NQs, I had no idea what I was doing. I was pulling thousands down in a day. Every time the market would go up, I would short it. But I did not know what I was doing. And so I didn't know the leverage I was taking on, is a better way to say it. So learning but that was like a great high, right? That dopamine going through my system. It's like, being on a drug, or, it's flying through your system and you're getting a reward for it. And then you want to do more. So it's learning to delay your gratification. And also the last point I'll leave you with is the people that do the best in life in general, and you can apply this to trading, are having a growth mindset. I look at these ladies and, they're very good traders and they're still learning and know that they have more to learn. And so instead of having a fixed mindset, like I've arrived, the psychologically healthiest people have a growth mindset. So always be a learner, always be willing to learn from someone. I can learn from novice traders too. I can learn from their mistakes. I can learn from, different things that they might be looking at, that after trading now for 5 years, I'm not looking at those same nuances anymore. So they remind me of something because isn't something that I've thought about. So delay your gratification and have a growth mindset, and don't take on too much risk. Play it small.
Awesome, Kim. I really do appreciate that. And one of the points you made at the end about being able to learn from the mistakes of others, if you're able to do that, that's a massive talent. It's very easy to make mistakes. It's hard to learn from your mistakes, and it's really hard to learn from the mistakes from others. But if you're able to learn from the mistakes of others, you will end up being really rich in this game. Not financial advice, but we'll go past that one. A lot of fantastic answers so far. I would love to hear, Curly Gal Investor, your thought on this.
Sure thing. So, something that I wish that I had known from very early, I will definitely say I shared the sentiment about risk management and losing small. I said, there's so many times when I look historically at my trades, I've had the ability to make so much in profit when I have, I got good process in place, but my weakness had been the ability of cutting quick when I'm wrong, right? And I think that struggle, when I look at the market versus other types of jobs or outside in life, it's hard to ac- to acknowledge that you're wrong. Um, and that in the market, the fastest that you do that and cut, the better it is. So that's one thing that I will encourage any new trader to, get to learn pretty quickly, because it just helps to protect your account and it will provide you with longevity. That's what I will say, especially when you're working with a small account, right? And then one more thing I did wanted to mention, I thought it was super interesting that it was through trading that I also discovered a little bit more about my own personality and even attachment styles, right? And that was something that I hadn't paid attention about myself as much as when it came to trading. And I recall, being able to notice how just being anxious over the trades made it to where it was again, the not wanting to cut. I would like hold on through two trades, and I think that had a correlation with attachment style, and so I definitely encourage people to kind of like deep dive into themselves. Really, I think this is a journey of self discovery, and there's a lot that can be that one can not just learn but work on and improve through this process, at a personal level, besides just trading.
I 100% agree with that. I very much appreciate all the amazing speakers up here. One quick sidebar, a little news story going on. Western Alliance, it's coming out right now that they're reportedly now looking to exploring the possibility of a potential sale, and that's according to the Financial Times. I haven't looked at Western Alliance, but I'm sure the stock's moving lower. Definitely something to monitor there. But yeah, one more time, make sure you're following all the amazing speakers up here. ETF, I would love to throw it back over to you to kind of wrap us up here. We really appreciate you bringing us all together, and I would love to know if there's anything you want to add.
No, it's been great. I mean, I really appreciate all the women coming on here and just giving us an insight and just their personal journey, because it's you know like I know I've said this before, but I grew up with single mom raising us, my brother and me, and so I have a lot of respect for women who can balance out career, family, and also do trading on the side too. Like, it's absolutely amazing to me. I mean, I struggle just with my kids alone, so I don't know how I don't know how it's done. But definitely appreciate every always coming back on, and I hope we can bring you back at some point in the future and really do this again, because it's really one of those things that just it helps to have these insights and know that you're not alone, that you're not the only one struggling here, or that you're going through these different journeys, or just these insights on how to better yourself as a trader, and even also as a person too. So with that being said, thank you everyone, and really looking forward to have you guys on again, and I'll throw it back to you.
I 100% agree with that. This was a fantastic space. We would love to have everyone back on again. We're doing these spaces with Elite Trader Funding every single week. We're talking all stuff futures, education. They're bringing on so many diverse groups of traders. We've had really smart women, we've had former pit traders, and we have a lot more coming. So make sure you're following that Elite Trader Funding account, and you'll get a lot of these spaces on your timeline. I know myself and Wolf Financial, we have another space we're going to go into in about 7 minutes or so. So if you want more of this live free content, definitely make sure you're following everyone and you jump over there with us. I also do want to mention one more thing. I haven't talked about it at all on this. Oh, curly hair? You said curly gal investor? Sorry, curly hair. I just said that. That's bad. But I saw you on mute.
That's pretty funny. That's okay. No, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much to the three of you, Elite, Wolf, and Stock Market News. Thank you very much for having us. And I'm so pleased to have been also up here with these phenomenal ladies. I do look up to you as well. So thank you so much for being here also.
100% agree. It was a fantastic space. So many great people that will improve your Twitter timeline up here. So shout out to that. I do also want to say this. I'm doing a little bit of a giveaway for Apple. Whoever can guess, well, not a giveaway, a competition. Whoever can get the closest to what Apple will close today at 8 p.m. price is going to get $100. Free to enter. Just a nice little fun game. It is pinned up in the nest above. So go up there, click in, and get a free entry into a competition and potentially win some money. And then as well, adding on top of that, myself, Wolf Financial, as I just said, we're about to head over into another space. So if you're following us, we're going to be live in there in another minute or so. Let me get the link pinned back up in the nest above. And yeah, we hope that everyone will join us over there. So it's a fantastic hour or so. We learned a lot on these spaces. We hope everyone will join us back up here, and we'll catch you in 5 minutes or so. Wolf, I see you join us up here. Gav.
Yeah, first off, how's my sound quality? Is it okay?
It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like you're in a corner whispering to the mic, but it's still not bad.
All right. Well, that's better than what I suppose it could be. So yeah, I just wanted to reiterate a big thank you to, first off, Andrew behind the Wolf account today, and to Stock Market News for hosting the space along with Lead Trader Funding. We do these on Thursdays, covering everything futures. Next week we'll have a lot more live trading. I'm already putting together that panel for next week, so definitely looking forward to that. And then, like Stock Market News reiterated, I had the post up there. I'm going to try to get it back up there. Unless, are you pinning it, Evan?
It's back up now.
Okay. I don't see it yet, but up top in the space, everybody should be able to see a Twitter post with a link to our next space. It's starting in just 5 minutes here at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be hosted from the Wolf account. I'm going to come in and speak on that as well, or do my best as long as my sound quality is being good. And yeah, I would just encourage everybody to go up to the top of the space real quick and just tap that reminder button. We're doing that with Selena. They're a publicly traded company. So it should be really interesting getting to talk with their CEO and hear some insights there for those that like hearing interviews with publicly traded company CEOs. So I think that's the majority of it. Evan, I'm assuming you already went around and gave everybody a final comment.
Yep, we are all good. Everyone spoke, and yeah.
Okay, cool.
Listen, we got a good exit question too. Might I say, we have to ask more. What's something you wish you know when you started investing? We got some really good answers on the space at the end.
Nice. Well, that's good.
So we'll just add that into the repertoire. But yeah, we're gonna be live in 4 minutes. Make sure you're following all the amazing speakers up here, and we'll catch you on the next space.
Okay.
Have a good one, everybody.
Sounds good. See everybody in just a few.